That down, let's go on to this, shall we? The brand new Superman trailer has dropped, and it's utter perfection. I couldn't believe it. I watched this trailer this morning, and it was with a lot of trepidation because quite frankly, you guys who watch the show know there have been a lot of movies this year that I've been really excited about. Mm-hmm. And then the first trailer comes out and I go, nah, it's happened more times than than I'm comfortable with. And so I was very excited about the trailer, but also kind of nervous. Now, last night I did an open mic in which I said, the topic of last night's open mic was, what things can we expect? And I said a couple of things. I said, here's what I'm expecting. Number one, it's a first trailer, so don't expect anything about the movie really to be given away. Don't expect that. I also said, number two, don't expect there to be any dialogue. Or if at most, like one line from Superman, maybe one line from Lois, maybe one line from Lex. But I said, basically, don't expect any dialogue. I said, number three, because of what happened with Brandon Routh's Superman Returns, one of the big criticisms of that movie is Superman doesn't even have a fight in that movie. The only action sequence is a Superman lifting a plane and lifting a mountain. That's it. So I said, in response to that, I bet you anything, we're at least going to get a quick glimpse of a fight in this trailer. And then I said, thirdly, with the fact that James Gunn has been really emphasizing that the world that this Superman movie takes place in, I said, I bet you anything we're going to get a very, very quick shot of Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific. All of those things happened. Yep. So a bunch of things that I was expecting, and yet the trailer still shocked me. It shocked me. And the trailer starts off like with this shot. Mm-hmm. Superman beaten and bloodied, right? And I think this is brilliant because whenever we have talked about the hardships, the difficulties, the obstacles of making any Superman story, is the fact that he's basically a god, right? He's impenetrable, he's invulnerable, he's all this kind of stuff. And that's always made it very difficult to tell really good Superman stories on the screen. And for them to understand that, and then to just start this trailer with Superman's body crashing down into the snow and the breathing, like that, the touch of his breathing was like, this guy's had the crap kick out of him. And then the close up and he spits out blood and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was understanding the big barrier to telling great Superman stories is that, well, nothing can touch him. To start off with the fact that he's just gone 10 rounds and he's laying beaten and bloodied in the snow. I thought that made that a brilliant way to start this trailer. One of the other things they did in starting out this trailer was giving us him as Clark.
That's a good shot.
And look at that hair. Now, if you're like me, you look at that hair and say, that's ridiculous. But it's genius.
That's kind of like the new kids look, right? Where they have the broccoli in the front.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. It's a little play on that, but I've heard too many people like, oh, I don't know, they're trying to make it. No, it's perfect. It adds to the disguise.
Here's why it's perfect. Because one of the things we all mock Superman about, always, me included as a huge Superman fan, is like, I'll go see if I can find your friend Clark Kent. Oh, there's Clark.
Who the hell are you?
Yeah, where did you come from? Right?
John was here.
Always just been the glasses, right?
Yeah.
I honestly thought when I look at him like this,
it looks like a different person.
It doesn't look like Superman.
Yeah.
And his mannerisms too, throughout the short scenes that we see, he's like just bumbling around and just looking like goofy. I really like that part.
But like, again, you look at this image and it's like, I don't see Superman. No. Like even with Henry Cavill, of course, I got Henry right here. Henry is my all-time favorite Superman. But even Henry, right? It was just Superman with glasses on. Christopher Reeve, it was just Superman with glasses on. They actually make him look different. And
I know. Different hairstyle altogether. I mean, Christopher Reeve still had the slick black hair. He just didn't have the curl. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like...
but it was still pretty much the same, right? I love the fact that we get this kind of look at the Daily Planet. Right. I'm going to bet you anything the Daily Planet is now also like a full online
Probably.
I think they probably still do physical newspapers. We get our first shot of Jimmy Olsen sitting in there, which is great. So I just love the fact that it started with him beaten. That they actually take some steps to try to actually make him somehow look a little bit different than Superman does.
I think the way they execute Clark Kent is important to the
absolutely
the impact of Superman's, persona.
Then we get a shot of the Kent farm, which I like. I love the fact that we're getting Jonathan Kent. We're getting Pa Kent. Now, of course, in the traditional telling of the Superman lore, not in all the backgrounds, but in the traditional sense, by the time he's Superman and everything, Pa Kent has died and is gone. Does Ma Kent die instead? I mean, we don't see any shots of Ma Kent, or maybe they're just struggling or lamenting or be sad over something else. Or maybe this is a flashback.
He's very stressed out there, and I like that because, like some of the Clark Kents we got, they've been looking like they have had a great life.
Yeah, I mean, again, this could be a flashback and all that kind of stuff. I love the fact we got Pruitt Taylor playing him. I think that's great because he looks like traditionally Pa Kent, whether it was, who played him in Smallville? Was that John Schneider?
It was,
John Schneider, right?
Right.
John Schneider in Smallville, or Kevin Costner or whatever. Like this really GQ, good looking, whatever.
Cowboy.
I like that they got a Pa Kent who looks like a farmer.
Exactly.
And a guy who's lived on the farm his whole life. I love that they kind of done that with him. So I think that's great. And then...
Oh, boy.
Then... Okay.
Spits out blood.
Okay. Let me say this. When they first announced that Crypto the frickin' dog, and I'm a dog guy. I love dogs. Don't get me wrong. But when they announced that Crypto the dog, if you guys watched the episode when we talked about that, I'm like, look, I've got all the faith in the world in James Gunn, but really? We're going to do Crypto? I mean, it looks pretty cool. That shot of the two of them sitting on the moon together, that looked cool. Yeah, but I'm like, we're doing Crypto the dog? Really? And I'm going to admit to you that after that show, when we first talked about it, I'm like kind of iffy on Crypto. I really started to hate it. I hated the idea that they were bringing in Crypto. And then this shot happens. And he's laying in the dust, in the snow, and he starts to whistle. And you know right away, oh, he's calling Crypto. And then, like sandworms on Arrakis, coming down, you see just this it's snow, it's not smoke, but this like intonating that there's something powerful coming, right? He whistles and you see the snow blowing up in the air. It's something like a freight train is coming down through the snow. And then he gets there.
You see the little silhouette kind of with the cape flying, and it's like, oh my God. Look, one of the problems I've always had with Superman is like there's nothing to relate to, right? I think Clark Kent, like what he goes through, you can relate to. But this is a great way of getting me to get on board with Superman with a dog.
I was sitting here as Ray watching for the first time, and as soon as he whistled and you saw oh my God, is that Crypto? And then this little face. Fuck it, I'm on board. I don't care what I said before. I know I hated on it. I know I talk crap on the idea of Crypto being there. I am so on board with this now. When he shows up, first of all, just like coming like a freight train through snow, and the whistle. And he comes on down, and then he's like, home, take me home. And Crypto takes his the cape, right? So you get a bit of it here. Well, I want to go backwards here, but he takes the cape and he's pulling him through the snow like a faithful companion and takes Superman back. I'm guessing to the Fortress of Solitude.
And let's face it, like Clark is an alien, right? So he's an alien in a world. It's great that he could depend on one thing, and that's a dog, a man's best friend.
Yep. Even Superman's best friend.
Yeah.
And then we get this great shot. Now, listen, I was telling Jonathan beforehand that I think there's a lot of this trailer that is actually James Gunn responding to a bunch of the criticism that previous Superman stories, including Henry Cavill's and Brandon Routh's and whatever, like that whole thing about him starting beaten in the snow. It's kind of a response to the criticism that, Superman's like untouchable, blah, blah, right? I also think that one of the criticisms that, Zack Snyder, and Man of Steel is my all-time favorite Superman movie, but some of the criticism that I thought was unfair and unfounded, but that Zack Snyder's thing got was like, oh, Superman didn't focus enough on saving people. So what do? They put in this shot where, like, first of all, that's a giant kaiju foot. Look at the size of the kaiju foot behind him. And I love this. Superman, just a simple thing. Even with the world, it's like he saves this little girl. I thought the shot looked awesome. Even the way his hair is flying in.
Yeah, perfect way to use slow-mo.
Oh, yeah, and a great way to use
Don't overdo
slow-mo.
it.
And then, see if I get a touch of this. But this is great shot here where you see Lex,
he zooms by
as Superman is flying by. Let me back this up. You can see Superman now flying by in the picture, and then Lex just turning around all pissed off.
I didn't notice him fly by until the fourth time I watched the trailer.
Oh, right.
Because I just thought it was just an introduction. He turned around because he's just like an asshole boss. But then I noticed Superman fly by, and I was like, oh, okay.
And then, of course, we got this great shot. Look, I was sold on day one that he was going to be a great Lex Luthor. And after seeing this trailer, I have absolutely no doubt. I love that dirty, hairy revolver he's got there, which I don't know if it's a kryptonite bullet or if he's just testing it out on Superman. I don't know. Then this thing of Superman. I mean, I'm sure in the movie, they're going to explain that this glass cage that he's in is probably, this is reinforced whatever a mum. Yeah. That not even tank fire can get through, but like the shot of then Superman like punching through it. And then the shot that a lot of people are talking about, that a lot of people online are talking about, oh my God, I cried at this, is when the little boy puts up the Superman flag and just like, Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And like so many people about this symbol of hope. That's the thing a lot of people have complained about previous iterations, right? It's like Superman needs to be the thing of hope, and they do that. Now, I think everything in this trailer is all from Act 1 of the movie. I think everything we see in this trailer is from Act 1. And I think it's all ties into I think they're telling a story here, right? So for instance, this shot where, first of all, we hear people in the trailer chanting, Superman, Superman, right? But there's a shot here where people are clearly very angry at him, right? And he even goes into this building upset. By the way, I don't know how many people caught that. See the logo behind him?
Stag.
Stag? In the comics, Metamorpho, who we will see in a second, Metamorpho's main antagonist is Simon Stagg of Stagg Industries. So I just thought that was a cool little Easter egg thing they had in there with the Stagg thing. But better than that is seeing Nathan Fillion and Guy Gardner come in and put up the curtains so people don't see him. Mr. Terrific was in that shot as well. If I go back just a little bit, you see Mr. Terrific standing behind Guy Gardner. And then a lot of people got very excited. That hot girl then pops up in it. We get a more proper shot of Mr. Terrific here in a second. Let me see if I can get to it.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, then there's the kaiju.
Yeah.
Superman fighting the kaiju.
What?
Now, here, let me say this because this is important. The reason I think all this happens in Act 1, and I think all this is tied together, is because I think early in the film, Superman and his buddies, Mr. Terrific, by the way, there's a good shot of Mr. Terrific there. Mr. Terrific and them are fighting them. We also see then that giant kaiju foot come down. He's got to save the little girl. And then there's this shot. I don't know if I can find it here.
It's right at the end.
With the buildings falling over. Is it right at the end?
It's right before that shot where they go out.
Okay, well, anyway, there's a shot where there's like these city buildings are falling over.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find it right now.
Yeah, you'd have to play it and then it'll play it, but yeah.
Here's my theory, and it's just a theory. Remember how I said I think a lot of this trailer is in response to previous criticisms that other iterations of Superman have got? I think Superman and his heroic friends are fighting that giant kaiju in the city, and I think it causes a lot of damage, including those buildings falling over like dominoes. And then you see him he goes in the Stag building, he's dirtied, he's been in a battle, he's upset, people are angry at him, and like one guy even throws a can at his head. I think this is a direct response to the criticism that Zack Snyder's Man of Steel got when Superman was saving the world, but in the process of saving the world, there was some damage in the city. And a lot of people said, Superman shouldn't have let any damage happen, which I always thought was one of the most idiotic criticisms.
That was dumb. But
Because
he
it was
did
such an
destroy most
idiotic
of
thing.
Metropolis.
He's trying to save humanity the best he can. Anyway.
Yeah.
And so I think this is kind of like James Gunn responding to that a little bit by saying, hey, listen, they had to fight a giant monster. How are you going to fight a giant monster in a city without there being damage?
Right.
But I think, and again, this is just a theory, I could be way wrong. I think a result of all the damage, I think that leads to the shot we see of Superman getting arrested. Like, pull up that. Remember there was that photo that came out from the set where there's a bunch of soldiers. You got Ultraman there, and and Rick Flag Sr. is there as well, like
Little
arresting
brighter shot
Superman.
there, but
And
yeah.
all the people are super angry at him. I think that's like in Act 1 of the film where people got upset that, hey, they hold Superman responsible, even though he just saved everybody. They hold him responsible for the fact there was some of this damage and stuff like that, and some buildings fell, and probably there was loss of life and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Did you notice the trajectory of Hawkgirl? Her appearance. She's like coming down from something.
she's coming
Right?
from the sky.
Yeah. But do you think there's like the Watchtower, the Justice League Watchtower?
No, I think it's just a classic superhero shot of her
Okay,
coming down
okay.
from the sky and
Maybe
all
I'm
this
just looking
kind of
too
stuff.
much into it. So
By the way, there's something else interesting here. There's a shot a little bit later where Superman's fighting somebody in the Chicago baseball stadium, right? A lot of people were saying they think that's Mr. Terrific. It's not Mr. Terrific.
No.
I could see why you'd think, because the coloring's a little bit the same.
That suits the exact as the one we just had up.
It's Ultraman,
Yeah.
right? So we see him there because we saw him in the shot where he's arresting Superman.
Yeah.
That's not Mr. Terrific.
That's this guy right here.
Yeah. So he busts through, and then he's fighting Superman in the baseball stadium. So that's not Mr. Terrific. I've seen a lot of people online saying, "Oh, I wonder why he's fighting Mr. Terrific." He's not fighting Mr. Terrific. So let's get that out of the way. By the way, then there was a shot, and I'm going to see if I can find it. I can't remember where it is. Do you have the shot of the face that Ray thought was
it's Martian Manhunter.
that thought was Marsh Manhunter? Because I can't
Oh,
find it.
you know what? I didn't grab that one. It's right when he's looking up. It's
Yeah,
it's
see if you
such
can
a-
find it and bring it up.
All
But
right.
there's a shot of a guy with a face like that's kind of deformed and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And people were like, "Oh, is that Martian Manhunter?
Or Brainiac.
Oh, is that Brainiac?" It's not. It's Metamorpho, being played by Anthony Carrigan, who of course has already been in the DC universe a little bit, because Anthony Carrigan played Victor Zsasz in the Fox TV series Gotham. So he's kind of experienced in there. And by the way, he's been nominated for Emmys for his work in Barry.
Mm-hmm.
How great is he in Barry? He's so good in Barry. So with the little Stag Industries reference that we had before, and then we get that face. So that's the face of.
Oh,
do
here.
you
So
got there?
I'm just gonna do it this way.
Sure, just bring him up. But that's
yeah.
the face of Metamorpho.
Oh, look at that. Perfectly filtered in there.
Yeah. So, and how they do Metamorpho physically and how he's going to look was going to be very tricky, because even the comic book designers have talked a lot about how tricky it was to come up with the design. Like a guy who's not really flesh anymore, he's something else. So I thought that was pretty good.
You know what I find great is a lot of these characters, since I'm not really into the Superman lore, are new to me. So I'm hoping there's some sort of introduction for me, at least throughout this movie, to know what they're about. And I believe in James Gunn. I believe his story writing and stuff like that. So
Yeah. I really unless you want to touch on the structure of the.
Oh, by the way, this is the shot. Of the
Yeah,
building.
there
It's
you
like
go.
falling
Oh, and
over
it's more
like
than one
dominoes.
building. See,
Yeah,
I only
it's
thought it
like
was
falling
one.
like dominoes.
Yeah, it's a few of them.
So
Yeah.
what were you saying?
Oh, so I don't know if you were going to touch on the structure of the thing, but of the trailer, but I really appreciated that. Well, the first thing we see is him crashing down, yes, of course, and then that shows his like kind of like his vulnerability. But we flash to people that are in his personal life. So he's thinking about the people that he loves and that he works with and that are in his personal life. And then when he gets dragged off by Crypto, then the next things we see are the things in his exterior life. The other heroes, the villains he has to deal with,
Right.
the politics of the world, geopolitics. I just loved how it structured the personal level and then who he has to deal with as Superman. And I really feel like because the only words spoken in this trailer were home, take me home. I really feel like that was them telling us we're bringing you, the audience, home. You know, you're beaten up from this DCEU, and we're bringing you guys home. I know it's metaphorical, but they also think these ways when they're editing these things. I really think that's James Gunn saying, I'm bringing you guys, the audience, home with me. And then you hear the whistle, and actually that whistle you hear 3 times.
Yep, throughout the trailer.
In the thing, and that's them beckoning us home.
Now, I've seen some criticisms even before the trailer came out about the movie itself. It's like, it's supposed to be a Superman movie. Why are all these other heroes in it? Every movie has a cast of background characters. Every movie. They just don't happen to be characters whose names you recognize. I said to somebody in the live chat today before the show started, it's like, there shouldn't be other heroes in this. This should be Superman movie. I'm like, saying there shouldn't be other heroes in this Superman movie is like saying we shouldn't see any other police officers in a Beverly Hills Cop movie. I said, that makes no sense because other cops are in Axel Foley's world. And in this Superman world, other heroes exist in Superman's world. And for them not to at least appear, like, listen, I have no doubt this movie is not going to be about Hawkgirl. The movie is not going to be about Guy Gardner.
No.
The movie is not going to be about Mr. Terrific. This is going to be Superman's movie, but it would be understanding that James Gunn has created a world where superheroes already exist.
Right.
It would be ridiculous not to have some of them present in some way, shape, or form. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Perfect Jean. All right, let's get real for a second. Khakis, stiff, uncomfortable, and a crime against humanity. That's why I am obsessed with The Perfect Jean. I'm wearing them right now, and let me tell you, they've changed the game. They have full stretch, no resistance, whether I'm sitting for hours, indulging in holiday feasts, or running errands, these jeans move with me. And the best part, I don't feel like I'm in a denim prison. They're stretchy, soft, and crazy comfortable. And these aren't just comfy lounge pants. They look sharp enough for dinner parties and family photos, and with 6 fits, waist sizes up to 50, and lengths up to 38, the Perfect Jean fits everyone. From short kings to tall legends, over 5,000 combinations to get your perfect fit. So what are you waiting for? Stop crushing your balls in stiff, boring jeans. Head to theperfectjean.nyc and use the code Campea15 for 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, returns, and exchanges. That's right, risk-free, folks. Once again, that's theperfectjean.nyc, code Campea15. F your khakis and upgrade to the Perfect Jean. Trust me, your legs and everything else will thank you.
I actually believe it will make Superman stand out, and this is why. Because we are entering a universe where these other alien species and villains and heroes, they all exist already, and the world is a cynical place. And what do you need? You need a Superman to bring hope and light to a world that is full of cynicism. And that's why Superman is going to stand out above and beyond this world of other heroes. And I think that's why. I don't think he's going to get lost in that world. I think he's going to stand out as a beacon.
Yeah, it's going to be completely his movie still and all that kind of stuff. Now, look, let's be very, very clear. I don't know if the movie's going to be good or not. This is just a trailer. We have seen lots and lots and lots of great trailers that ended up being trash movies. We've also seen trash trailers end up being great movies, right? So I'm not sitting here saying that, oh, this automatically means this movie's going to be great. If you still have doubts about this movie, I think that's perfectly understandable.
Sure, you can not like it.
I think it's perfectly understandable. We're talking about the trailer, not the movie. But I think the trailer, it alleviated all my fears. It alleviated every worry I had going in. Even though I was fucking hating on Crypto the dog, this trailer even won me over on Crypto the dog.
You know why? The only reason I held out hope about Crypto the dog, and I just in the back of my mind is like, hold out hope, is because of how much I loved Rocket Raccoon and what James Gunn did with him. And I'm like, you know what? He's going to nail it.
Yeah, he's absolutely going to nail this. Listen, I have all the faith in the world in James Gunn. Again, I mean, he made the Guardians of the Galaxy films. He made Slither. He made Peacemaker. He made Suicide Squad. I mean, I even like his movie Super. I mean, so I've got all the faith in the world in James Gunn. I do. But it doesn't matter how good you are. when you're tackling something as loaded and as tricky and as it is as much of a minefield as trying to launch a new cinematic universe with a character like Superman, when you have a lot of people like me who Henry Cavill is my all-time favorite Superman, you know, it's a precarious spot to be in. So you never know how it's going to work out. But man, this trailer felt inspiring. It felt like it brought that sense of awe and wonder. It addresses a lot of Superman-ish issues like collateral damage and trying to save the world, Superman being vulnerable, being beaten up and stuff like that, having to have another life with Lois Lane, all that kind of stuff. I just thought for a first trailers that are not supposed to give away story points yet, wait for trailer 2 and 3 to do that. That's not supposed to give a lot of stuff away. I thought for a first trailer, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And here's the other key thing. There are going to be people out there. Well, first of all, there are going to be people out there who completely honestly just watch the trailer and go, that didn't do anything for me. That's totally fair. It's a piece of art. There are going to be people who look at this and just go, it didn't work for me. That's fine. However, what is also true is there's also a certain segment out there that decided months ago that they were going to trash on anything that comes out regarding this, no matter how good it is. Like Jesus himself could descend from the clouds and proclaim this is a great trailer, and they would just go, Jesus is a shill. That's what they would do, right? So there are going to be people who honestly look at this and don't like it totally fairly. There are going to be people who have pre-decided that they're just going to hate on it no matter what. But I think the vast, vast, vast majority of your average non-hardcore comic book fans, but your average movie-going audience are going to look at this trailer and go, I think I'm going to go see that. I would put money on that.
It feels like there's a hints of everything we loved from previous Superman movies in this trailer. Just little bits of it. Like you see the the Christopher Reeve Clark Kent. That's what I loved about those movies.
Sure.
His Clark Kent and his goofiness. But then you saw that shot where he's saving that child, and that reminds me of the best parts of Man of Steel was the action.
Yeah,
like the destruction.
Oh God, the action in Man of Steel. Like that's gonna be real hard for James Gunn, because I'm not saying you can't do certain things better than Man of Steel did, but the action in Man of Steel was so good that it's going to be real. I hope James Gunn can even come close to that.
I'm not even sure if he's interested in maybe even matching that. I mean, this seems like a Superman that's more focused on getting us to relate to him from this trailer. From what
relatable Superman.
That's always been the problem with me and the Superman.
And I think with a lot of average fans too, the problem is that Superman is very difficult. Even in the early days of DC Comics, they understood, like as Marvel was starting to ascend as a comic book brand, the folks at DC, they struggled with the fact that they were starting to understand that a lot of their heroes, particularly Superman, was very non-relatable. And that has continued to be a problem that they have tried to address and fix. And if James Gunn can crack that code, and others have done it to certain degrees of success as well, that'll be a big step in the right direction for this.
And even the problems that he ran to as Clark Kent, just knowing that he's Superman under there, kind of like disconnect too. So if he could bridge that gap, that you know, for me to see Clark Kent as an actual human being, separate from Superman, I think he'll do the job that I'm looking for.
I'll tell you one final thought on it, and it wasn't so for you and probably many of our watchers and listeners, but it was for me. And it goes back to what you were saying, John, about if you tell a good story, it doesn't matter, you know, this or that. I never once paid attention to his shorts. Never once.
Yeah. Again, I hate the fact that the underoos are back. But I don't care. I mean, look, it's just the costume. I don't care. But I mean, I still don't like the red underwear on top of the pants. I don't, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. Again, listen, I was looking for this trailer to wow me, and just right from the beginning with the boom into the snow, he's dying basically. It's Crypto, the action, the kaiju, all this. It's just, my God, it's just a perfect first trailer. It's perfect.
It's less than 6 months for you guys, because you're going to CinemaCon, and I bet you they're playing it there.
I will bet. April, we're going to CinemaCon, and I am willing to put money that number one, Marvel is going to show us Thunderbolts, And because of how important this Superman movie is for starting a new cinematic universe, I am willing to put money right now that James Gunn, who's already said he's going to be at CinemaCon, I bet you anything they're going to be playing Superman for us. Like 3 months in advance. I think they're going to show us Superman.
Let me look at the hot toys that are releasing in the next few months. And we can,
So
I might take you up on that.
Yeah, I can't imagine how this trailer could have been any better.
It's a great trailer.
And and a lot of people, like last night when we did open mic talking about what to expect from the trailer, a lot of our viewers expressed to me worries that they're going to show too much. Like, remember in Batman versus Superman, they showed Doomsday.
Yeah.
Like a third act finale climax thing, they showed Doomsday. A lot of people were worried they were going to give away too much. They clearly did not give away much.
Well, can we talk about the music? Did we mention
Oh,
that
we
at
haven't
all?
even talked about the music
The
yet.
thing that
the metal,
the thing that
80s
got me
metal
like,
guitar.
yeah, come
that
on.
electric guitar.
As soon as that kicked in,
I'm
I was like,
what?
it just brought me back to like, oh, this is Superman.
Yeah.
He's finally coming back. I love the music. I love what he chose, how he chose to use it. At the time he started using it, it was great.
You know, it's funny because in a recent interview, James Gunn talked about how there are definitely some influences of Top Gun Maverick in Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And then for them to start that, it's like that was very Top Gunny.
Yeah, right.
Then as the child goes Superman, it changes
Yeah, it goes
from the electric guitar to the orchestral and all that kind of stuff. Listen,
And right in that moment, you hear a whistle. That is a transition too.
Yep.
There.
And listen, I've said I believe they are going to and should have a new theme for Superman, and I still believe they are.
I think they will.
But to launch this first teaser trailer with the familiar, with the nostalgic of that John Williams score, even a different rendition of it, I think was a brilliant stroke of genius. I think it was perfect.
Do you think they'll do the Batman where the theme actually releases before the movie, or do you think he's gonna wait for all of us to hear it?
Yeah, I think a lot of movies do that. I think the soundtrack for Superman will probably drop somewhere near the end of June. I think they'll probably drop the
Do you
whole
like
soundtrack.
when they do that?
As long as
It doesn't spoil.
the titles of the tracks
Right.
don't spoil the movie. Again, the biggest example of this, going back to Star Wars The Phantom Menace when it came out, because about a month before Star Wars The Phantom Menace dropped and came out in theaters, they released the soundtrack. And one of the titles of one of the pieces of music was Qui-Gon's Noble End.
And
What are we doing?
I just dropped the CD. I dropped to my knees in the Virgin Mega Store.
Like seriously, like what are they doing? Like it's like if in June we pick up the soundtrack for that and then Batman Saves Lois. Like if that's the title of one of the tracks, we go, what?
They were talking about his ass.
They're talking about his ass. His noble end. Yeah, guys. So listen, this trailer far exceeded all my expectations. I had my doubts. I had my reservations. I don't like the red underoos. I thought it was dumb that they were bringing in crypto. All of it has been changed. I mean, I still don't like the underoos, but they won me over in crypto. The music was perfect. The whole differences of Clark, the showing the vulnerability of Superman, showing a world that is kind of resisting the fact that there's damage when he's not. They're holding him accountable, giving us little glimpses of the other heroes to show that this is a bigger world than just a Superman origin story. I love it.
It
Now,
checked all the boxes.
doesn't mean the movie's going to be good, though. It might end up being bad.
And
It
the
might,
next trailer needs to be good too.
But as far, what's that?
And the next full trailer.
Well, that's the
the
thing.
story trailer.
Which I bet will be at Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The next trailer, when we do get dialogue, when they start to give us an idea, here's what the story of this movie is. That's going to be obviously very key and very important. All we're talking about here is the first tester, the 2 minutes and 20 second, here's a feel for this movie. The next trailer may suck, but this one nailed it.
This is gonna make
This one's
money,
great.
John. I firmly believe.
It's going to make money. I
This is
still
gonna
don't
make
think
some-
it's not $1 billion film though. There's too many Snyder Bros who are hating on it. There's too many average moviegoers who feel burned by the previous DCU. I still think it's going to take them a while to win back the audience. Even if this movie's really great, I think it'll make money. I just don't think it's going to be like a $900 million.
I think 800 something. That's where I'm putting.
Yeah. Well, if it's good, that's going to be where the range, or 750, whatever. But what do you think Gunn's going to do in terms of what I want to say, how long will they insist it stays in theaters? How many days? Do you think there's going to be, because I don't want to see them do this and it's like a 45-day window.
No, well, I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it is up to James Gunn.
Yeah.
He'll decide how long they want to have it out
I'm not
there.
saying it has to be 100 days like Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's got to be more than like 45.
Yeah, I mean, again, though, I don't think this is an $800 million film. I hope I'm wrong. I think it's going to take them, I think they're going to have to build up the DCU to getting to that point. But I think minimum, it's not going to be one of these twisters
Sure.
where it's in theaters and 2 weeks later you can watch it on VOD.
Oh, I hope not.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But 45 to 60 days probably. Hopefully it's 60 to 90.
Yeah, I'm hoping 60.
I'm
to
really
90.
hoping they give this a nice long runway of a theatrical release and really make it an event when it comes out on home video. That's the other thing about these short theatrical windows, is that when they come out on home video, it's not even an event anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, that's another topic for another time. Guys, question is for you. What did you think about the Superman trailer? Listen, it's a piece of art. It's not going to work for everybody. If it didn't work for you, nothing wrong with that. That's totally fair. And hopefully the next ones will win us over. Maybe you're like me and you absolutely loved it. Maybe you think it's the greatest trailer of all time. I don't think it's that, but I think it's great. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.